Good morning, you're watching A News. I'm Dilek Tuna. Here are the top stories for the hour. A man attacks a Colorado crowd with firebombs, 6 people injured. Russia and Ukraine are to meet again for peace talks in Istanbul today. Baku Energy Week opens in the capital of Azerbaijan with 267 companies from 39 countries. A peaceful demonstration in Boulder, Colorado turned violent on the 1st of June when a man attacked participants with incendiary devices, injuring 6 elderly individuals. The FBI is now investigating the incident as an act of terrorism.
On the 1st June, a violent attack occurred during a peaceful demonstration in Boulder, Colorado, organised to honour Israeli hostages held in Gaza. A 45-year-old man, Mohammed Sabri Soliman, allegedly threw incendiary devices and used a makeshift flamethrower on participants. 6 injured aged between 67 and 88 years old were transported to hospitals. The FBI is investigating the incident as an act of terrorism.
Sadly, attacks like this are becoming too common across the country. This is an example of how perpetrators of violence continue to threaten communities across our nation. It's our job, the FBI, the Boulder Police, and our law enforcement and community partners, to bring these criminals to justice and keep our communities safe.
The demonstration, known as Run for Their Lives, is a weekly event held by the Jewish community to raise awareness for hostages taken during Hamas's attack on Israel. Witnesses reported that Soliman shouted, "Free Palestine," during the attack. He was apprehended at the scene and is currently in custody.
It's very scary and it's a huge shock. And it's a big thing that, sadly we've experienced before, but it's really scary and it's really upsetting that it's happening in Boulder.
This incident has heightened concerns over rising anti-Semitic violence in the US, especially amid ongoing tensions related to the Israel-Gaza conflict. Officials, including Colorado Governor Jared Polis, have condemned the attack as hate-fueled and unacceptable.
China is slow-rolling a trade deal with the United States as the Trump administration works to negotiate new agreements with several major trade partners, said Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick. President Donald Trump on Friday accused China of violating an agreement with the US to mutually roll back tariffs and trade restrictions for critical minerals. Trump added he was sure that he would soon speak to Chinese President Xi Jinping to discuss trade and other issues. More trade talks between the US and the EU are scheduled for this week, on the sidelines of the OECD Ministerial Council meeting in Paris on the 3rd and 4th of June. The Russian delegation has arrived in Istanbul for a second round of peace talks with Ukraine, set to begin on Monday at the Chiran Palace. After days of speculation about Kyiv's participation, President Volodymyr Zelensky confirmed that Defense Minister Rustem Umerov will lead the Ukrainian side. The previous meeting, held on the 16th of May, resulted in the largest prisoner swap of the war so far, but little sign of progress toward ending the fighting. According to the Turkish Foreign Ministry, the talks will begin today at 1 p.m. local time. Both sides are expected to present detailed proposals for a potential ceasefire and continue discussions on future exchanges and de-escalation. Ukraine says it has dealt a serious blow to Russia's air power with a large-scale drone strike deep inside Russian territory. The operation reportedly targeted multiple air bases and damaged dozens of warplanes in what Kyiv calls a turning point in its drone warfare strategy.
President Volodymyr Zelensky has hailed a major Ukrainian drone assault on Russian air bases as a brilliant operation, claiming it inflicted severe damage on Moscow's strategic aviation forces. Speaking in his nightly address on Sunday, Zelensky said the attack, over a year and a half in the making, involved more than 100 drones and was aimed exclusively at military targets.
Планування, організація, всі деталі були ідеально підготовлені.
Planning, all the details were planned ideally. I can say with confidence that it is an absolutely unique operation. The most interesting part, and now I can talk about it publicly. The office of our operation on the Russian territory was based close to FSB department in one of its regions. 117 drones were used in the operation, and respective number of drone pilots were involved. 34% of strategic carriers of cruise missiles on their home airfields were hit. Our people worked in different Russian regions, in 3 time zones. Our people, on the eve of the operation, were extracted from the Russian territory. Now they are in safety.
Діяли наші люди на території різних російських регіонів.
The operation, codenamed Spider's Web, was conducted by Ukraine's domestic security agency, the SBU. According to Ukrainian officials, the long-range strikes hit 4 separate air bases and damaged or destroyed 40 Russian warplanes, including many cruise missile carriers. It marks the most devastating Ukrainian drone attack since the war began. Images released by the SBU show dozens of quadcopter drones stored in wooden sheds with metal roofs, designed to conceal their presence until launch. Ukrainian sources told media that these drone containers were trucked close to the airfields and equipped with remotely controlled roof mechanisms, allowing the drones to take off at the push of a button. The SBU estimates the damage caused to be in the range of $7 billion. Moscow has acknowledged drone strikes in 5 Russian regions, labelling them a terrorist act. In a parallel development, Ukrainian authorities reported a massive overnight Russian assault, involving 472 drones and 7 ballistic and cruise missiles targeting Ukrainian territory. These events unfold as Russian and Ukrainian negotiators prepare to meet in Istanbul on Monday for a second round of peace talks.
2 people are dead, a police officer is in a coma, and nearly 600 have been arrested across France following celebrations of Paris Saint-Germain's first ever Champions League win.
2 people died and hundreds were arrested during chaotic celebrations across France after Paris Saint-Germain's first Champions League title win. The night began with jubilant scenes in Paris and other cities, but turned violent in several areas, prompting a large-scale police response. A 17-year-old boy was stabbed to death during celebrations in the town of Dax. In Paris, a 23-year-old man died after his scooter was struck by a car. Police said both incidents are under investigation. In Coutances, a police officer was gravely injured by fireworks and placed in a medically induced coma. Officials reported 192 injuries nationwide, including 4 people in serious condition. In Paris, crowds gathered around the Eiffel Tower, the Champs-Élysées and the Parc des Princes Stadium. While most fans celebrated peacefully, clashes broke out overnight. Police used tear gas and water cannons to disperse groups throwing fireworks and other objects. 2 cars were torched and 4 shops looted, according to local authorities. By Sunday morning, 559 arrests had been made across the country, including 491 in the capital. Police say many of those detained were carrying fireworks or involved in vandalism. In another incident in Grenoble, a car drove into PSG supporters, injuring 4 members of the same family. 2 were seriously hurt. Police believe the crash was not intentional. Despite the unrest, PSG's victory parade is set to go ahead Sunday afternoon. Central Paris remains under tight security, with thousands of police officers deployed and road closures in place.
Spain's Sevilla is experiencing intense heat with temperatures reaching as high as 46 degrees Celsius, prompting authorities to urge residents to stay hydrated.
Southern Spain is experiencing a severe heat wave, with temperatures expected to rise above 42 degrees Celsius in Seville. The city baked in extreme heat as temperatures surged to 46 degrees Celsius, prompting locals and tourists alike to cool off by fanning themselves and splashing water on children and animals. Residents and visitors shared mixed reactions to the early arrival of the heat.
It's way too hot. I really can't handle the heat. I'm more of a winter person. These temperatures are just too much for me.
Around this time of year, it took much longer for the heat to arrive. It's usually quite hot during the fair, but this year, the weather has behaved.
People were seen lining up to refill water bottles and seeking refuge in bars and shaded areas as the city grappled with the sweltering conditions. Experts largely attribute these extreme weather events to global warming and warn of increasingly severe climate-related disasters unless global temperatures are kept within 1.5 degrees Celsius above pre-industrial levels, the target set by the Paris Climate Accord. Spanish authorities have urged residents to stay hydrated and take precautions during this unusually early and intense heat wave.
Scientists say climate change is no longer a future threat. It is here and it's heating up our world faster than expected. A new report warns that extreme heat is affecting billions of people, while in Europe, leaders are preparing a major climate target for 2040, but not without controversy.
A stark warning from scientists this week: human-caused climate change is making the world hotter, faster. Over the past year alone, half of the global population experienced 30 additional days of extreme heat. A new report from World Weather Attribution, Climate Central, and the Red Cross Climate Centre finds that heat waves are becoming more frequent, more intense, and more deadly. The researchers say climate change has doubled the number of extreme heat days in 195 countries. They call it an underappreciated threat, one that many governments still underestimate. The findings come just days before Heat Action Day, urging global leaders to take extreme heat seriously. The report recommends better monitoring, stronger early warning systems, and the rollout of heatwave action plans. The findings come just days before Heat Action Day, urging global leaders to take extreme heat seriously. The report recommends better monitoring, stronger early warning systems, and the rollout of heatwave action plans. But while scientists raise the alarm, European politicians face growing backlash over green policies. The European Commission plans to unveil a new climate target in July. Diplomats say Brussels wants to include flexibilities in the proposal. That can mean lower emission targets for domestic industries or allowing countries to buy international carbon credits to make up the difference. Some nations back the plan, like Finland, the Netherlands and Denmark, whilst others, including Italy and the Czech Republic, remain opposed. With Europe warming faster than ever, the balance between environmental action and economic costs remains under fierce debate.
Karol Nawrocki, backed by the Law and Justice Party, has won Poland's presidential runoff after all ballots were counted by the State Election Commission. He secured 50.9% of the vote, narrowly defeating Warsaw Mayor Rafał Trzaskowski of the ruling Civic Coalition, who received 49.1%. Early exit polls showed Trzaskowski slightly ahead. However, updated data from Ipsos and Polish media later confirmed Nawrocki's victory, attending the Conservative Party's hold on the presidency. South Koreans are heading to the polls next week in a snap presidential election following the dramatic ousting of former leader Yoon Suk-yeol. But as candidates are ramping up their campaigns, concerns are growing that political divisions are overshadowing serious policy debate.
South Korea is heading into a snap presidential election, and voters are facing a race heavy on politics but light on policy. Supporters of the two leading candidates, the Conservative Kim Moon-soo and the Liberal Lee Jae-myung, are rallying across the country. But experts are saying what's missing is knowing what the two candidates will actually do. Park Kyung-jun, head of the Korean Association for Policy Studies, is saying voters aren't getting enough to judge how pledges will affect their lives.
Voters should be able to assess how a pledge affects them personally and make choices accordingly. Something like, this candidate's policy will impact me in this way, so I'll vote for them. But we saw very little of that.
Even this week, most candidates are only releasing summaries. Full policy booklets are landing just days before early voting, and on key issues like foreign policy and national security, experts say candidates are staying vague. Professor Nam Tae-woo is saying many are dodging tough questions, especially on foreign policy with the US, China and Japan.
Foreign policy and national security are areas where we're seeing generational divides and complex concerns. But many candidates seem to be avoiding clear positions on these in their pledges.
It's also been a notable issue. There's no female presidential candidate for the first time in nearly 2 decades. And on the streets of Seoul, the message from voters is clear. They want more focus on real-world issues such as housing and inflation.
This is ignoring the voices of the many women who braved the freezing cold and spent nights in the square demanding the restoration of democracy.
I wish they had taken housing supply and boosting domestic market more seriously in their pledges, but perhaps because it's a snap election, that kind of in-depth consideration seems to be missing, which is a bit disappointing.
Turnout is already breaking early voting records, and with election day set for the 3rd of June, many are heading to the polls, still looking for answers after months of political chaos.
Baku Energy Week kicks off in Azerbaijan's capital today, reaffirming the city's pivotal role on the global energy stage. Running from the 2nd till the 4th of June, the event marks its 30th edition with a renewed focus on the intersection of traditional and renewable energy sectors. Our Andy Mioch has more.
The 30th anniversary Baku Energy Week is about to kick off. We're here at the Baku Expo Center, where it's been very busy since the early morning with the final touch-ups, guests arriving, participants, media representatives. This venue will host 2 of the major 3 events of this week. That's the Caspian Oil and Gas Exhibition and the Caspian International Power and Green Energy Exhibition. The 3rd major event, the Baku Energy Forum, will be hosted across town in the Baku Convention Center tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. When it comes to the events here, the exhibitions, there will be some 267 companies, industry leaders from nearly 40 countries all over the world participating. There will be, of course, different events, discussions. They will cover the latest in the oil and gas field, development, processing, transport of the goods and everything. The traditional resources are, of course, not the only focus. Just like previous years, there will be talk on green energy. There will be exhibits showcasing the latest in solar, wind, thermal, geothermal, electric vehicles, equipment, and adjacent technologies. One of the other things that is expected is a great number of deals, both in the traditional sectors of oil and gas and green energy, as it was in the previous years. But for now, for A News from Baku, Andy Mioch.
The IAEA has identified Iran's covert nuclear activities at 3 undeclared sites and a significant increase in its enriched uranium stockpile, prompting potential international repercussions.
A confidential report by the International Atomic Energy Agency has revealed that Iran conducted covert nuclear activities at 3 undeclared sites, Lavisan Shian, Varamin and Turkuzabad, using materials not reported to the agency. These findings suggest the existence of a structured nuclear program that was active until the early 2000s. The IAEA criticized Iran's lack of satisfactory cooperation and noted unexplained uranium traces at certain sites. In a separate report, the IAEA stated that as of May 17th, Iran's stockpile of uranium enriched up to 60% purity had increased by nearly 50%, reaching 408.6 kilograms. This quantity is sufficient, if further enriched, for 9 nuclear weapons, raising serious concerns among international observers. The United States, United Kingdom, France and Germany are considering submitting a draft resolution at the upcoming IAEA Board of Governors meeting to formally declare Iran in violation of its non-proliferation obligations. Such a resolution would mark the first formal non-compliance finding against Iran in nearly 2 decades. Iran's foreign ministry has rejected the IAEA's report as politically motivated and warned of appropriate measures in response to any actions taken against the country. These developments come amid ongoing nuclear negotiations between Tehran and Washington, with the potential to further complicate diplomatic efforts.
Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi is set to visit Egypt and Lebanon on Monday and Tuesday to engage in high-level discussions on regional issues and bilateral relations. Araghchi's visit to Egypt marks the first by an Iranian foreign minister in over a decade, highlighting a significant step in diplomatic engagement between the two nations. In Cairo, he's expected to meet with President of Egypt and Foreign Minister to discuss efforts to de-escalate tensions in Gaza and Lebanon and to address humanitarian concerns. Following his visit to Egypt, Araghchi will travel to Lebanon, where he will hold talks with Lebanese officials to further discuss regional stability and cooperation. Saudi Arabia and Qatar have announced a joint initiative to provide financial support to state employees in Syria over a 3-month period. Saudi Foreign Minister Prince Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud made the announcement during a press conference in Damascus with his Syrian counterpart, Asad al-Shibani. While the exact sum has not been disclosed, this move follows a previous contribution in April by both Gulf nations to pay off Syria's $15 million debt to the World Bank. Syria is hoping to revive its pharmaceutical industry after the US and EU lifted key sanctions.
In Syria, efforts are underway to revive the country's pharmaceutical industry following recent moves by the US and European Union to lift key sanctions. The restrictions, imposed during the civil war, had cut off access to raw materials, replacement parts and foreign partnerships, pushing the local drug industry into steep decline. The Ministry of Health estimates that only a fifth of the cancer drug demand could be met domestically. Many families were forced to seek treatment abroad or turn to costly alternatives on the black market. Now, with sanctions eased, manufacturers like Unipharma in Damascus say they've resumed talks with international suppliers to restart stalled production lines and begin importing critical ingredients. Before the war, Syria was considered a regional hub for medicine manufacturing. Officials hope the renewed access to equipment and materials will help rebuild that capacity and ease the burden on families who've struggled to find or afford treatment. However, while the latest moves open some doors, much of the global banking system remains off limits to Syria, and broader US sanctions still hang over the economy.
The first international tourist train from Xi'an, China, arrived at Almaty 2 station in Kazakhstan, marking a significant milestone in rail tourism and cultural exchange between the two nations. A 9-carriage train carrying 246 passengers, including business people, scientists, actors, athletes and tourists, travelled through Urumqi, Kogos and Altınkol before arriving in Almaty. A ceremonial welcome marked its arrival, with officials from both countries, transport and tourism sectors in attendance. The initiative aims to boost rail tourism and deepen cultural ties with China. The Zangazour corridor will support the Middle Transport Corridor. This was stated by the Minister of Transport and Infrastructure of Turkey, Abdülkadir Uraloğlu, speaking at the conference International Corridors and Turkey. Uraloğlu emphasized the strategic importance of the Zangazour corridor in bolstering the Middle Corridor trade route. He announced that construction of the 224-kilometre Kars-Iğdır Aralık Dilucu railway line is set to commence by the end of this year, with an expected completion timeline of 5 years. This railway will connect Kars to Dilucu border crossing, enhancing Turkey's connectivity with Azerbaijan and Central Asia. In a significant boost to Turkey's international defence profile, the country's leading defence firm Aselsan has been selected by the NATO Support and Procurement Agency to take part in a key air defence initiative. The project, known as the Modular Ground-Based Air Defence, or GBAD, brings together some of the world's top defence companies.
Turkish defense company Aselsan has joined 4 of the world's top defense giants, Airbus Defence and Space GmbH, Lockheed Martin UK, Raytheon, and Thales LAS in a major NATO initiative to develop modular air defense solutions. The selection marks a milestone for Turkey's defense industry and underscores Aselsan's growing international reputation. The NATO Support and Procurement Agency, or NSPA, says the 5 companies will begin with a concept study phase, focusing on system architecture. This foundational work will help shape the future of NATO's modular, flexible, and interoperable air defense infrastructure. Project deliverables are due by mid-September, when the most viable system designs will be evaluated. According to NATO officials, the agreement demonstrates both effective multinational coordination and the efficiency of NATO's internal procurement mechanisms. Each company will contribute independently, offering innovative perspectives and solutions in a competitive framework. The overall goal is to meet NATO's demanding operational and logistical requirements with systems that not only advanced, but also adaptable and sustainable. For Turkey, Aselsan's involvement serves as international validation of its indigenous capabilities in layered air defense. From barrel systems to a full spectrum of missile defense solutions, short, medium, and long range, Aselsan has positioned itself as a reliable and technologically mature defense partner. This step forward also supports NATO's ambition to become the preferred hub for multinational defense procurement, reinforcing collective security through shared innovation.
A huge weekend of sport across Europe, from historic football triumphs to major moves in the transfer market and dramatic action on the track and court. Paris Saint-Germain are the new kings of Europe. Tennis heats up in Paris. An F1 drama unfolds in Barcelona. Our Nick Summerby brings us all the latest updates from the world of sports.
Firstly, let's start with the champions of Europe, and congratulations to Paris Saint-Germain. On Saturday night, they beat Inter Milan, and what a game of football as well. 5-0. Hakimi with the first goal. Doué, keep your eye on this boy, he's 19 years old. Kashvili, he scored the next goal, and then after that, Mayula, who came on as well, 19-year-old boy, and it just started the party off in Paris. Yesterday, they flew into Paris. They took the bus through Paris, obviously, with the crowds throughout the streets celebrating. Then they went to see Macron, President Macron, and then back to the stadium where the party really started, where the players went round, showed the trophy. And it's the first time they've won it, so they've now levelled with Marseille, and Nasser Khalifa, the president and the owner of Paris Saint-Germain, was absolutely delighted. What a future they look like they have at the moment. They've won it with one of the youngest teams and squads. So for the next 2 or 3 years, Paris Saint-Germain will be absolutely flying. You feel a little bit for Inter, but Inter couldn't get into the game at all. It was just, they jumped on top of them, Paris Saint-Germain, got the early goal and controlled the game. It was so one-sided, but what a game of football. And obviously, congratulations to Paris Saint-Germain. Wow, we look forward to seeing them. They've got to dust themselves down, and then they've got the World Club Cup as well in a couple of weeks. So let's not forget, a lot of key teams aren't getting much of a break. They're going straight into the World Club Cup. After that, then there's the transfer news. Wirtz to Liverpool. That looks like it's a matter of time before that happens, and they are going to be. It's going to be in the region of about 110 to 120 million. So Liverpool doing their business early and really putting a statement down about next season. Sesko to Arsenal. It is vitally important that they do get a centre forward. That's what let them down last season, and Sesko is the person what they're talking about at the moment. So we will keep on top of that one for you. Bruno Fernandes, this talk as well with Saudi is not disappearing at the moment. Are they going to take the 100 million Manchester United, or is Bruno Fernandes going to stay? 65 million a year they've offered him over 4 years. Can he turn that down? Can anybody turn that down? Obviously, Anthony as well, which we saw playing for Real Betis, who went on loan. He is to return back to Manchester United. Is he going to have a future at United, or are they going to try and move on and cash on with him as well? Ryan Cherki to Manchester City from Lyon. That's another one which you're hearing a lot about at the moment. Manchester City have to do business, they have to strengthen if they have to get back to their best. So keep your eye on that. Cunha is the first signing for Amran at Manchester United. They need a centre forward. forward. It's been about Højlund this season. Just can't score goals. He's young. I felt sorry for him, but they need a goal scorer. Hopefully Cunha is the man. Moving on from that is the Grand Prix in Barcelona. I mean, it's set of sport is just, throughout the weekends there's all sorts happening. Piastri, who won, he won his 5th victory in 9 races, so he's 10 points clear of Norris. Norris was second. Verstappen was in a collision which has caused a little bit of a fuss because they don't know if it was deliberate when he did it, but then he got penalised and he finished in 10th. So it's not quite happening for the champion with him, but you expect him to come strong. Also as well, the Roland Garros is the tennis as well, which is in France, which is just down the road from Paris Saint-Germain Stadium, funny enough. And we had the women as well. Swiatek, she has gone through to the next round. And Slovenia as well, she has also gone through. Draper as well, his next opponent is Bublik. So Draper, I do talk a lot about him. Keep your eye on him when you're going on honestly to Wimbledon. Alcaraz, he is through. Djokovic, he plays today. But it's quite interesting because the winner of Sinner and Rublev, they will be playing as well. This goes over 2 weeks, so we're at the pretty early stages, but all the key players that they're starting to come to fruition. But once again, getting excited. So much to cover. We'll be right on top of it, and I'll be with you over the next couple of days just to let you know with everything what's happening in the world of sport. So I'll see you soon.
These are the updates for the hour. Stay tuned to A News for more world news throughout the day.